So today we're going to tech around with my AAP-01. If you remember in the video that I posted previously, if you did see it, this is my custom build, stubby little AAP-01 and custom painted. In that video, I did mention, if I can get this guy off, there we go, that the hop-up unit, sadly the screws were stripped on the inside of the hop unit, my upgraded CNC rotary hop. So today, let's get these guys aside. I was lucky enough to find somebody on the hop-up app who had just the outside of the Action Army rotary hop unit, which was super lucky, like unbelievably lucky. He said it doesn't come with any of the hardware or anything like that, which I don't need. I really just needed the ring here itself, that like outside ring, because that has the screws on it. So that is awesome. We are going to toss the rotary hop unit inside of the AAP-01. Let's do that now, shall we? All we're going to need is some tools. This should help keep it much more locked in place. These are just kind of barely in there with a little bit of Loctite, sadly. And as it fires over time, it does get looser. I think this fella should do this trick. And I'll show you what barrel I'm using and how I cut it down and my awful reaming job and whatnot as we get into it. Pull these both screws out. Now, ideally, this should fly on out of there. And we just have to remove these two screws. And that should... All right. Cool. Get some of that nonsense out of the way. And now we have to take this guy apart, because right now we need the arm piece, the spring, the barrel, and the bucking. I believe that's all I need, right? So let's get into that. There's two grub screws on the side. We're just going to pop out. Get all this hardware we're going to need, because crazy enough, the hop unit that I purchased has everything I needed, and the hardware is not what I need. That was weird. I don't know why that popped out like that. That was supposed to do that. I guess the barrel popped out. So here's my inner barrel. It's super short. I believe it's a maple leaf. And I did ream it myself, if you can see that. It's not the best ream job. But again, ream job. But it is good for what I need it for. Because it's a short range build. So indoors only, short distances, that's just fine. Apply some pressure on the arm. We'll pop the rotary piece off. We'll take off the arm, the spring, and the nub. We're going to need that for later. I don't know if it's got any of the O-rings on it. It totally doesn't, does it? No, it doesn't. Okay, so we're going to need the O-rings from here too. So we'll get to that in a second. I do need to take out the rubber. That should be enough to get the rubber out. You will see, you might wonder why I have the stock rubber in here. And that's because with such a short barrel and such a generally aggressive FPS, sadly, any tighter rubber is too strong for the length of the barrel. And it just overhops anything above or below 0.4s. So this is why we go with the stock rubber. Not ideal, but it's a goofy and a fun build. I do have to take off this O-ring. We're going to need that. So we'll pull that off nice and carefully. I do have some extra O-rings in case I snap one, but these aren't all that old. And I don't think there's any other O-rings. We might need this little guy right here, but I'm not sure. Cool. So that's that. Get those separated apart. And let's take a look at what we have here. So we have all brand spanking new. I don't know, maybe they lost the little bag of the hardware or something. Cool. We are going to need that little nub and spring. Where is that? Why do I keep grabbing the wrong thing? That little nub and spring from inside here. I'm not particularly sure how we're going to get that out, but let's try and pop it out. There you go. Look at that. Came out. And we're going to very carefully install it right here. This is what allows you that clicking mechanism up against the inside of this wheel. You see that? It's got a little spring tension to it. Cool. And I got to throw this O-ring right around that line. Okay, this is, I guess, sort of a tutorial video, but like also sort of not, because again, you're not totally uninstalling the standard hop unit. You're just installing a new one. Now we'll take our barrel and our rubber and we'll install it with the arm facing this direction so it slides into that line right there. And it butts all the way back to the end of the hop unit. Okay, next we're going to take a little bit of grease. It's always important to keep some of this stuff around. Very little bit. I'm going to rub it around this O-ring. So it's a friction-free. When we throw this wheel on, remember the dots facing towards the exit of the barrel. And we should be able to just twist and wiggle that guy on into place. The goal is to keep that O-ring where it needs to be. Cool. Now, pull it out just a little bit and take your arm, spring, and nub. Would install that. I like to maneuver the hop unit around the arm. I find it's easiest to keep everything in place. And you should have your nub on your hop rubber and your spring should apply tension. Then we're just going to slide this guy on over, which will hold that arm where it needs to be. Cool. Next, we take our barrel sleeve, slide it so that the little nub is at the top. Should slide on nice and easy. Cool. And then our barrel stabilizer. And what you want to do when you slide this in place is make sure those cutouts are in line with these screw holes. You'll see them pass an opening, so the grub screws can apply pressure and tension on the barrel. If it's tilted, you won't be able to apply pressure and tension on the barrel, so keep that stable. You're going to kind of squeeze it all together, pushing backwards on the hop unit, and grab your grub screws. Times like these where you wish you had more hands. Cool. And go ahead and screw the one grub screw in. If you're having troubles and it won't go in all the way until it's flush, it's because it's not aligned correctly. And we'll go ahead and get the other one in. Now you don't want to over tighten these because you do not want to smush your inner barrel. Just be careful. Just go light hand tighten until they won't go in anymore. Cool. And they should make contact with your barrel. You should be able to see them there and there. Perfect. Should still be tension on the hop unit, on the arm. And you should be able to twist this guy with some noticeable clicking. See that? Now to reinstall, just to make it friction fit, so that's not a problem later on, we are going to throw a little bit of grease on the inside of here. Cool beans. And a little bit on the outside of the hop unit, so it slides into place correctly. Just keep it away from the inside of the barrel. Cool. All right, so the opening of this little piece faces down. And you want to line up that hole at the bottom. Should fit nice and tight, or nice and loose, not tight. Tight, no good. And we'll throw these little side screws. You'll notice one of mine is black and the other one's silver. It's because I lost one of the marine grade screws. But I did pick up that upgraded set. This one's the stock screw. Again, just hand tighten. And again on this side, just hand tighten. Cool. Perfect. Now, the orientation that this goes in sometimes messes with me. I believe you want to set, you see how it's got these two flaring edges here? You want to set it so that they're facing on the right and left side. It's the only way that you're going to get this to slide into the AAP. Otherwise, you could wind up bumping it into some of these plastic pieces. But now just go ahead and slide that in place. Even gonna make it a little easier to slide in. I'm gonna throw some grease on the outside of this guy. Cool. All right. And that should slide right down into place. And we'll throw these two screws in at the bottom. The one thing with these marine grade screws is they are not magnetized. Oh yeah. As long as we don't over tighten it, and then hopefully this one also screws in. Fantastic. Look at that. Probably gonna want to put some Loctite on that, but for now that works just fine. Now the key is to make sure that you can apply and unapply tension to the hop up. And I love how it has a little arrow on it so you know you're adding more or adding less. So as long as this twists and clicks, see that? And it's firm. That's perfect. That's all we need. Probably easier for someone with fingernails. But that's perfect. It applies the hop tension that we need. It's totally stable. And it's no longer going to unscrew like our standard hop-up unit that we had. Perfect. Let's go ahead and reinstall the AAP. Make sure it works. And that is your hop-up installation for your AAP-01. Perfect. She's ready to be fielded again. Thanks for tuning in. I know this wasn't one of the craziest videos, and I'm kind of just teching around, but sometimes filming these little videos is what allows me to finance larger videos and purchasing things to test out and stuff for your guys' enjoyment. So thanks for always tuning in. I'll see you on the next adventure.